You are listening to Package Your Genius, a conversation designed to give you clarity on your calling and serve as a catalyst for your career. I'm your host, Amanda Miller Littlejohn. Welcome back to another episode of Package Your Genius. Thank you so much for being a part of this challenge. I'm so excited to be back here with you today. And if you've been listening to the podcast over the past few weeks, you know that I've been in Italy for the last week or so. And it's been an amazing trip. I've had a really great time. But I was reflecting on the fact that I almost did not come. Like, this trip almost didn't happen because it totally was a coincidence that my friend was coming and invited me to come with her, and I was free, and it all came together. So about 6 weeks ago, my friend asked me to join her in Italy since she'd be traveling here for a conference, and I did something I normally don't do. I didn't hesitate. I just said yes. I've been thinking about ways to get more adventure into my routine because, to be honest with you, I've been head down grinding on behalf of my family and my academy programs for the past 2 years. Taking a vacation or just traveling anywhere internationally used to be on my mind all the time, but in this new season, it just fell completely off the radar for me. And funny enough, I've recently written the words adventure and travel in my journal and on my vision board, but I just haven't made the time to create any intentional plans. So when my friend asked me if I'd like to meet her in Italy, I just said yes. Of course, I had to make sure that my husband would be in town to cover the kids, that I wouldn't be out of town speaking, and that I wouldn't miss anything major. But I remember saying, count me in as I hung up the phone with her, checked my calendar, checked in with my husband, and looked into the price of flights. I said yes because the opportunity resonated so deeply with me and spoke directly to what I'd already verbalized. When the opportunity to have an adventure and get some travel in presented itself, I knew what it was, right? Now, reflecting back on the week that just passed, I'm in awe of the opportunity to step away from my routine and get refocused and re-energized on the opportunity that is my life. While seeing some of the places I've always wanted to see and experiencing Europe as a person of means and not a broke college student has been powerful, it's also made me reflect on why I don't say yes more often. I love the process of travel because it allows you to get some distance from your day-to-day. When you're not in the thick of things, you can get the perspective that you're usually too close to observe when you're in the weeds of your life and business. My friend and I were reflecting on the year that just passed, and while I'm so proud of the things I've been able to make happen in the last 12 months, while we were talking, I had to call myself out on not tackling one big specific goal. About 1.5 years ago, I helped my son publish his first book, and he has gone on to publish 2 other titles. The process of helping him allowed me to see very clearly where I was falling short on my own goal to write and publish a book. So in packaging his genius, I got a clear confirmation that it was time for me to finally write Package Your Genius and get it out into the world. So I poured my heart and my soul into that project and spent the first half of the year writing and editing and packaging and publishing the book so it was ready come early fall. I promoted it on social media. I did some press. I put it out there, and I got what I felt was a good response. And I felt really good about checking that book off the list because if you know anything about me, I already have like 3 other books also in my queue. So this was just the first one I was getting out of the way. But something started tugging at my heart shortly after I published the book. And that was this bigger vision of publishing other people's books. And when I say publishing, I don't mean ghostwriting the books and assisting them with the process or helping them pull together a manuscript. But I mean, being a full-on publisher focused on amplifying marginalized voices, especially women of color who want to write nonfiction books tied to their professional expertise. So I had this big insight around publishing, and then I did nothing. I did what many of us do when we're staring our big dream in the face. I talked myself out of it. I told myself that to do what I really want to do, launch a boutique publishing imprint, that would be impossible. Who would I publish? How would the process work? How would the marketing and distribution work? Where would I find authors? What about all the parts of this process that are not my expertise, like the legal aspects, the creative and artwork? How would royalties work? What about author advances? Will people pay for this process like a coaching program? Or would I take on their projects for a slice of future royalties? So many questions just hit me, and I got bogged down in the details. Paralysis set in, and I didn't move. Instead, I mentally pushed this publishing dream to the back of my dream drawer, and I locked it away tight. But the funny thing about an opportunity, when it's your opportunity, it'll come back and find you. It'll haunt you even when you're least expecting it. It'll find its way out of that locked drawer and back to the forefront of your mind, because once you think it, verbalize it, and let's not even talk about what happens when you write it down, it's in the ether. Like me writing the words adventure and travel down on my vision board, but taking no intentional steps to book a trip, and then a friend stepping in and proposing the perfect remedy to my rut. The same thing happened with my kernel of an idea around publishing. No less than 1 month after I verbalized wanting to publish others, did a friend mention how she'd love to write a book, but she had no idea where to start. Then a client mentioned how having a book would be a great way to build more leverage into her speaking engagements, but she needed to sit down and think through how to make it work. Then, while I was in Florida speaking at a conference, I randomly ran into an alum of one of my Package Your Genius Academy cohorts. Now, this is someone I've never even met in person. We've only seen each other online through video. But we ran into each other at this conference, and we got to sit down and have drinks. And over drinks, she mentioned that ever since her cohort wrapped up, she's been thinking about how she can make her book happen, but she knows she can't do it alone. So there I had 3 separate confirmations from 3 separate people showing me a pathway to do what I already said I wanted to do. And would you believe I still wasn't convinced? So that's what I've been exploring this whole week in Italy. Why am I fighting against what I've already claimed? Is it just about fear, or is it about believing that it can't work? Because it could totally not work, but it could totally work, right? When you think about traditional publishers like Random House or Penguin, they all started somewhere, likely with one person or a small team of people that had a vision. They had to start somewhere. So maybe where I am right now is where it starts. If this trip has taught me nothing else, it is that I cannot lose when I say yes to the opportunity that I already put out there into the universe. Why can't my publishing imprint be my next thing? But whether it's my next thing or not, I'm not willing to waste any more time languishing in indecision. Like, I'm going to go for this because it's been placed on my heart, but it's also been confirmed by the people who are showing up asking me for my help. What about you? How much more time will you spend overthinking the thing that has been placed on your heart? How many more times will you pass on the opportunity to do what you say you want to do? How many more confirmations will you need before you're ready to pull the trigger? When confirmation presents itself in the future, just say yes and see what happens. You never know, it just might work. So I'd be curious to hear from you about publishing and packaging your genius, if that's something that you've always wanted to do or are interested in exploring. And what are your questions about it? This may somehow fall into my new publishing imprint, or The service I'm packaging, I'm not really sure how it's going to work, but I know that it's a call that I am prepared to answer because it keeps popping up and it's still there. It's still something that is waiting for me to claim. And I know it wouldn't have been put on my spirit and my heart if it wasn't meant for me to go after it. So I'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on writing your book? Is that something you've always dreamed of doing? And if so, what's held you back? What's kept you from doing it and making it happen? Maybe we can work together to make it happen. I don't know. Thanks for listening to another episode. I'll see you on the next one, guys. Bye.